We want to keep jobs in America, and we want to train people and hire American workers to fill those jobs, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Hoping to keep the focus on his administration's jobs message, the president today signed an executive order to roughly double the $200 million in taxpayer money spent on apprenticeships and learn-to-earn programs.
Thank you very much, everybody.
But amid the smiles and handshakes, the president ignored questions about a bombshell in the Russia investigation. The Washington Post, citing unnamed sources, reports that the president is now the subject of an obstruction of justice investigation led by special counsel Robert Mueller. If true, it is a stunning setback for a president who previously hailed the fact that on 3 separate occasions, former FBI Director James Comey told him that he was not the subject of a probe. But just last week, Mr. Comey told Congress he believed he was fired in an effort to undermine the agency's investigation. The president today lashed out on Twitter. They made up a phony collusion with the Russian story, found 0 proof, so now they go for obstruction of justice on the phony story. Nice. And he added, you're witnessing the single greatest witch hunt in American political history, led by some very bad and conflicted people. Hashtag Make America Great Again. But some Republican lawmakers caution the president's tone isn't exactly helpful or accurate.
It's not a witch hunt. No, I mean, I think that, he's got a job to do. We all understand that. And I think it's in everybody's best interest if we let him do his job and we do ours.
Mueller's probe does appear to be expanding from the singular question of did the Trump campaign collude with the Russians to now including possible obstruction. White House officials referred all questions about the probe to outside counsel, who in a statement called the FBI leak of information regarding the president outrageous, inexcusable, and illegal. This, as the Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coats, testified before the Senate Intelligence Committee in a private setting about his conversations with the president. Meanwhile, in Moscow, Russian President Vladimir Putin seemed to take delight in all the attention, offering asylum to former FBI Director Comey should he find himself at odds with the Trump White House. Just a bit of trolling there by Vladimir Putin. Now, I mentioned in the piece there, John, the president was on Twitter earlier today complaining about the probe. Well, he was back on Twitter tonight. Let me share just one of his latest tweets comparing his obstruction of justice probe, if you want to call it that, with one that may have happened for the person he beat to win the presidency. He said this about, and I'm using his words now, Crooked H, as in Crooked Hillary, quote, Crooked H destroyed phones with a hammer, bleached emails, and had her husband meet with the AG days before she was cleared, and they talk about obstruction? By the way, the team for Robert Mueller says they don't have any comment about that leak that led to that Washington Post story, John.
I'm sure they don't. Hey, some other news there at the White House complex. The vice president has hired an outside attorney in connection with the Russia investigation.
Yeah, you're right about that. Mike Pence, the vice president, hiring Richard Cullen from a pretty big firm here, McGuire Woods, to be his outside counsel. That process, by the way, John, took several weeks to wrap up. And I think this is an important note. This will not involve the use of taxpayer money. John?
All right, Kevin, safe travels tonight. You're headed to Florida.
Yes, sir.
For the big Cuba announcement tomorrow. Thanks, Kevin.